Okay, so have you ever felt that weird little anxiety around clocks? I don't just mean, running late.
Yeah, like something deeper.
Exactly. Like the hour itself stirs up something forgotten. Or maybe looking at the stars and feeling like homesick for somewhere you've never actually been.
Ah, that feeling. It's profound, isn't it? Or, walking through a crowd, seeing all these faces, but none feel as familiar as your own reflection.
Right. And these aren't just random little quirks, are they? They feel like echoes.
That's what some traditions suggest. Like you said, echo.
So if you felt that, it really makes you wonder, could there be more going on? Could it mean, that you've tasted other lifetimes, carried grief you can't name?
Or loved with a depth that, frankly, surprises people who haven't experienced that kind of soul history.
Mm-hmm. And ancient wisdom actually has a take on this, doesn't it?
It does. The core idea is that your soul entering this world, it's not random, not at all. Your birth time specifically isn't just a number on a form. It's seen as a metaphysical seal.
A metaphysical seal.
Wow.
Like a sacred agreement between your soul and the universe.
Precisely. And the mission for this deep dive is really to explore that. How that exact hour, the moment you arrived, might actually encode a lot.
Things like unresolved karma, past life lessons, maybe hidden themes your spirit agreed to tackle this time around.
Exactly that. And we're pulling from some really fascinating sources here. Think ancient Tibetan Vedic teachings, Hermetic wisdom too, deep spiritual philosophies that look at this idea of a time seal.
Okay, let's dive in then. This core concept, your birth time as a metaphysical seal. Tell us more about what they actually mean by a time seal.
Well, think of it as the exact point where your spiritual self, your essence, gets kind of imprinted into this physical reality.
Imprinted.
Yeah. The belief is that from the moment the umbilical cord is cut, that's it. The soul is no longer under the mother's energetic protection, so to speak.
Yeah, okay.
And at that specific instant, the soul takes full ownership of the new body, the new incarnation. It consciously embraces its own journey.
So it's really about that split second of becoming energetically independent.
That's the idea. And sure, the whole cosmic environment matters. The planets, Earth's position, the moon, even the wind and magnetic fields, apparently.
Right.
They all leave an imprint on the astral body.
Right.
But what these ancient sources keep emphasizing is the hour. That specific hour of birth carries a unique vibrational code. It's like a deliberate match between your soul's unfinished business and the universe's energy at that moment.
That's where it gets really interesting for me, because a lot of these traditions, Tibetan and Vedic especially, they don't see time as just a straight line, do they?
Not at all. They see it as a spiral.
A spiral. So what does that mean for our birth hour?
Well, connecting that spiral idea, it suggests each hour isn't just 60 minutes ticking by. It corresponds to specific spiritual gates.
Spiritual gates.
Yeah, and these gates are supposedly maintained by, planetary intelligences, different names for them. Dipolus in the East, planetary archons and Hermeticism, but the concept's similar. Cosmic forces guarding these energy portals. Each gate, or hour, is like a different window for souls to come through, and each window vibrates at its own frequency. That frequency, they say, sets the tone. It determines the karmic atmosphere, the main burdens, and the blessings for that life.
That is a completely different way to think about, telling time. So let's explore some of these gates, these hourly archetypes. What about the midnight hour? 12 a.m. to 1 a.m., the soul returners.
Yes, the soul returners. Ancient texts suggest these are souls whose last life ended abruptly, maybe through betrayal, sudden death, even spiritual exile.
Wow, and what are they like?
Often there's that mysterious deja vu, a kind of quiet sadness, or really deep longing for spiritual completion. Something their current life doesn't really explain. And the real insight there, I think, is that understanding that past interruption could be the key for them, the key to unlocking why they feel unfinished now, instead of searching for it everywhere else.
So it's like one source called it an interdimensional crack they slipped back through, still carrying pieces of the last journey.
That's a good way to put it, yes.
Okay, what about the total opposite? High noon, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., the karmic interrupters.
Ah, yes, peak solar consciousness time. These souls are thought to have intentionally chosen this hour. Why? To break cycles, repetitive karmic loops, maybe ones going back lifetimes.
And what are their traits?
You often see a sort of existential restlessness, a real need to innovate or maybe even push back hard against family or cultural norms.
Rebel against expectations.
Exactly. The idea is that this noon window gives them extra clarity, that solar willpower, enough to finally overcome that deep karmic inertia that might have held them back before.
Makes sense. Then there's that really intriguing one, Brahma Muhurta, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., the hour of divine descent.
Right, that comes strongly from yogic tradition. It's linked to souls with a heavy past life background in spiritual service. Think monks, healers, priestesses, maybe even alchemists.
And they're challenged now.
It's figuring out how to bring that ancient wisdom back into a world that's, well, largely forgotten those roles exist. It's common for them to talk about early dreams, vivid dreams of temples, maybe hearing sacred languages, or just having visions they can't explain. These aren't just random, the thinking goes. They're memory fragments bubbling up, nudging them
towards their purpose. But it's not just the hours, is it? The soul doesn't arrive unwatched. There are these astral gatekeepers.
That's right. Conscious forces, intelligences, really. They're said to govern fate and, crucially, guard the soul's access to its own memories. Its own past.
Guard access.
Yes. And while all planets might play some role, certain traditions focus on 3 celestial points of body. They form this triangle of karmic filtration, powerful guardians at the threshold between, say, this life and the soul's deeper history.
Okay, let's break that down. First, Chiron, often called the wounded healer. How does Chiron act as a memory gatekeeper?
Well, Chiron is known for pointing to our deepest psychic wounds, right? But its higher function, in this context, is about governing the veil of memory.
Governing the veil.
Where Chiron falls in your birth chart can supposedly show the type of wound that made it necessary to separate you from a past self.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Say Chiron is in a place linked to deep intimacy or shared secrets, like Scorpio in the 8th house. That might hint at a past life betrayal involving maybe occult knowledge or sexuality or spiritual power gone wrong.
Okay.
The wound was so traumatic, the soul chose to veil those memories to protect the current self from reliving it. So healing Chiron isn't just about therapy for this life's pain. It's about retrieving the severed memory thread, integrating the lost wisdom and the power that came with it.
That sounds incredibly deep, intense. What about the next one? Black Moon Lilith, the banished archetype.
Yeah, Lilith brings up really important questions about, hidden knowledge, suppressed truth. She represents that which was rejected, maybe considered taboo from your soul's library.
So people with strong Lilith placements.
The idea is they were likely punished in past lives and maybe exiled, silenced for breaking spiritual rules or challenging the powers that be.
So they might feel unseen now.
Exactly. Or profoundly misunderstood. Because deep down, they carry this soul memory of their voice, causing trouble, destruction, disruption. Lilith guards those memories fiercely. They only get released, supposedly, when the person reclaims their voice and deals with their own shadow side.
Yeah.
Turning that past trauma into real self-acceptance.
Wow, okay. And the third point in this triangle is the part of fortune, described as the soul's last peak. What does that tell us?
Right, the part of fortune. It's technically a mathematical point in the chart and an energetic echo. It shows where you find joy, flow, divine timing in this life.
But deeper than that.
On this deeper level, it's thought to reveal the soul's last moment of peace in the previous life. That point where it felt totally whole just before death or some major upheaval.
And you can access that.
Sometimes, yeah. When it's activated maybe by planets moving over it or through deep spiritual work, it can open a temporary channel to that memory. You know those sudden flashes of clarity or moments of just inexplicable happiness during mundane tasks?
Yeah.
That could be you brushing up against your part of fortune's memory node, briefly touching that past resonance of wholeness.
Okay, so beyond this triangle, the traditional planets also act as gatekeepers, like Saturn, the great karmic enforcer.
Absolutely. Saturn isn't just about limits and structure. Ancient texts see him as the keeper of oaths, contracts, unfinished business across lifetime.
So if you're born under strong Saturn,
the belief is your birth might have been forced by karmic law. Like the soul had to come back then because it owed something, a debt maybe to another person, a group, even to itself.
Right.
And Saturn, as gatekeeper, tends to be strict. He often allows only partial access to past life memory. You get little bits incrementally as you show maturity, discipline, responsibility in this life. He's a tough teacher, but fair.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. A gatekeeper demanding accountability. What about Jupiter, then? The benevolent expander.
Jupiter's different. More generous, you could say. If Jupiter's well placed in your chart, especially in key spots related to identity or purpose, he might grant glimpses.
Glimpses of past lives? How?
Through dreams, visions, maybe sudden intuitive knowing, spontaneous knowledge, but there's a catch.
Oh.
These glimpses aren't always comfortable. You might recall being grand or powerful, spiritually speaking, but then realize you maybe misused that power, fell into pride.
So it's not always flattering.
Not necessarily. And these traditions suggest Jupiter's gate opens most readily during moments of real gratitude or generosity or deep spiritual study, when the soul's aligned with its better nature.
This is all just mind-bending, thinking of planets as active guardians of our past. But it makes me wonder, are there any souls who bypass this or whose journey through the memory veils is different? What about those really rare births linked to this thing called the 13th veil?
That's a really, really fascinating question because, yes, the standard esoteric doctrine talks about 12 layers of forgetting, 12 veils the soul passes through before birth.
To soften the shock of coming into the physical?
Exactly. So by the time most souls are born, they've gone through all 12, leading to the usual amnesia about past lives.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the 13th veil? Who does that apply to?
It's said to apply only to a very rare group, souls who underwent specific high-level initiations in previous lives.
Initiations? Like what?
We're talking about deep involvement in sacred mystery schools, maybe occult brotherhoods, forbidden priesthoods, even secret civilizations that are now lost to mainstream history.
Wow. And their birth times are unique.
Yes, sometimes called twilight fractures or gaps in the grid, moments when the veil between worlds is unusually thin.
Gaps in the grid. Can you give examples? What kind of times are we talking about?
Well, teachings point to things like the deep delta hour, sometimes cited as roughly 2:44 a.m. to 3:10 a.m., or the exact midpoint between a solar and lunar eclipse. Even stranger things like conjugal leap seconds brief, unusual cosmic adjustment. These births aren't just rare. Ancient calendars, like the Mayan or Egyptian ones, supposedly encoded them, not as normal hours, but as sacred blind spots, places where higher truths could leak through.
Okay, so what about the souls themselves, these initiated souls coming through these gaps? What are they like?
The idea is they were often part of spiritual orders, guarding humanity's lost knowledge in past life. The Magi, serpent priests of lost lands like Mu or Lemuria, solar shamans, midnight matriarchs.
Legendary stuff.
Right. And the initiation wasn't just symbolic. It's believed to leave a permanent mark, an etheric scar, or vibrational branding on the soul itself, an energetic signature that carries across lifetimes.
And how does that show up now?
This is the key insight, really. For these souls, things that seem random, being born into really difficult situations, feeling totally alien in their own family, having strange physical sensitivities or psychological patterns that nobody can explain.
Yeah.
Those aren't just random challenges. They're often direct echoes of those powerful past commitments. The soul is being pushed to consciously reintegrate that lost wisdom, not just see these things as obstacles to get over.
That's incredible. The depth of connection between the birth moment and these huge, historical, even mythical contexts. And it's not just the time, right? The actual birth date also carries echoes, archetypes, even vows.
Absolutely. These systems suggest that people born on certain dates often show traits that just don't make sense based on their upbringing alone. These are seen as archetypal legacies, patterns inherited from past lives, shaping this life's path.
Okay, so give me an example. Someone born with a strong Scorpio alignment on their birthday.
Right. They might carry the soul imprint of being a guardian of mysteries in a past life, or maybe a healer of really deep hidden wounds.
And that shows up as?
Often as intense emotional depth, kind of mysterious magnetic quality that people find compelling, maybe even a bit intimidating. And understanding that blueprint helps them channel that intensity positively towards healing instead of, say, getting stuck in power dynamics.
And you mentioned spiritual vows. How do those play out?
These aren't just ideas. They're believed to lodge themselves deep in the nervous system, really influencing behavior, life choice.
Okay, someone born on a date aligned with Virgo's energy, that meticulous focus. They might carry a past life vow of service or maybe purity.
How would that look now?
It could show up as this relentless drive for perfection or a huge sense of responsibility for others, which is great. It compels them to help and heal. But the karmic insight is it can also lead to harsh self-criticism or anxiety because of the subconscious weight of that old promise. Recognizing the vow consciously can shift it from a burden to a chosen path.
And the moon's position on the birthday. That's crucial for the emotional side, isn't it?
Definitely. The moon reveals the emotional blueprint carried through time. So for instance, a birthday with the moon in Pisces often points to a soul with many lifetimes as a spiritual seeker or a really compassionate healer.
Sacrificing themselves. Often, yeah. Sacrificing personal comfort for others. So in this life, they might be incredibly empathic, almost too much so, feeling overwhelmed by other people's emotions, struggling with boundaries. The challenge and the insight is learn to offer that compassion without losing themselves, turning past self-sacrifice into healthy, conscious service.
And the specific planetary hours, the rulerships, how do they fit in?
They add another layer. bringing distinct characteristics linked to past roles. Born during a Mars-ruled hour, you might carry that warrior or protector energy.
So courage, justice.
Yes, discipline too. But the shadow side could be unresolved conflicts from past lives, maybe battles fought wrongly leading to struggles with anger or aggression now. The soul needs to learn to master and direct that energy constructively.
And Jupiter, we touched on him, the expander.
Right. Births under Jupiter's influence often point to past lives as teachers, philosophers, spiritual leaders. Maybe they hold roles in ancient temples or schools.
So they're drawn to wisdom, teaching.
Naturally inclined that way, yes.
Yeah.
But they might also have to wrestle with tendencies towards being dogmatic or overconfident echoes of past mistakes, perhaps.
It's important to remember, though, this isn't fate, right? It's not deterministic.
Not at all. That's crucial. These are latent potentials, subtle compulsion, tendencies baked into the soul's memory. The real power comes from conscious awareness, from spiritual practice. That's how you transform these imprints into strength and insight for this life.
And it can even manifest physically, our birthday imprint.
It's fascinating, isn't it? These traditions do suggest links. Certain birth dates might correlate with predispositions to health issues or bodily patterns, often tied to past soul roles.
Like what?
Well, someone with a strong Capricorn influence in their birthday setup might have sensitivities in their bones or joints.
And that's linked to?
Believed to be linked, perhaps, to a past life involving intense physical labor or maybe very strict ascetic discipline. The body itself holds the memory, prompting the soul to find balance now between effort and rest. It's like a physical echo.
A message from the body. And psychologically, too. Those recurring dreams, fears.
Oh, absolutely. Psychological tendencies, recurring dreams, fears that make no sense in this life, or even natural talents that seem to come from nowhere are often seen as direct traces of the soul's history encoded in the birthday.
So that person drawn to water but terrified of drowning.
Could be carrying memories of a past life near the sea, maybe involving a loss, or someone who just knows languages or picks up music effortlessly.
Skills from other lifetimes.
That's the idea. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What talents or fears do you carry that don't quite add up based on this life? Could they be whispers from your soul's journey?
And it all keeps cycling, doesn't it? You mentioned planetary returns, like Saturn coming back to its birth position around your birthday.
Yes, major transits like that often trigger the karmic lessons tied to the birthday imprint. They bring those hidden fears or unresolved patterns right to the surface, the ones linked to that original spiritual coding. It's a constant unfolding, past into present, always offering chances to integrate things consciously.
So just to kind of wrap up this deep dive, we've looked at how your birth time, the hour, the planets, the date itself is seen in these traditions as holding really profound secrets. Secrets about past lives, your soul's unique journey.
Yeah, it's really about seeing your arrival here not as random, but as this incredibly significant, metaphysically sealed moment. A moment that encoded your essence and sort of set the stage for your current life.
We touched on the time seal, those spiritual gates for each hour, the astral gatekeepers like Chiron and Lilith guarding memory, even that rare 13th veil for initiated soul. Different ways to understand the layers of hidden history with So now maybe take a moment to reflect on your own birth time. Think about any feelings you can't quite explain, talents that came easily, or challenges that keep popping up. Could these ancient ideas offer a new way to understand yourself?
What really resonated with you from all this? And maybe consider this final thought. If your birth moment truly is a chosen time seal, encoding your soul's deepest purpose, what hidden agreements, what forgotten vows might you be living out right now? And how could consciously understanding them unlock your truest path in this life?